We are starting the new topic, rotational motion. We know that there are different types of motions. What are the different types of motion? One is the linear motion. Okay. There are two categories of linear motion and translational. What is the difference between the two? Okay, linear motion, when a single point is moving in a straight line, we call it linear motion. But if it is a body and that body is moving in such a way that all the points are moving in the straight line parallel to each other and the distances between them remain same. Like all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are moving like this. All are making straight line, parallel lines. Their distance is not changing. This motion is known as translational. So translational is to be used for a body, system of particles. Similarly, circular motion. Circular motion, when a particle is making a circle, moving in a circular path, this is a circular motion. Right? We have all studied about circular motion in kinematics. Okay. Rotational motion. If it is not a single point but a system of particles, so many particles, and all those particles are moving in circles, and there is a relation that circle is about a single straight line which we call axis. If a particle is moving, rotating in such a way that here is a straight line and this is moving like this. So all these particles, this is making a circle about this line, this is also making a circle about the same line. So all the points are making circle about the same line, then we say it is a rotational motion. What is the basic difference? Circular is for single particle, rotational is for, yes. Then in rotational motion one very particular thing comes, that is called axis of rotation. You all know what is axis of rotation. For a circular motion, the center is a point about which the distance of the point, circulating point, remains same. If this is the center, then at all these times the distance remains same. Now there is another particle which is here that is also making a circular about the same point. Now there is another point which is above it here. So we draw a line here, perpendicular line, and that point is making a circular motion about that line. So that is known as axis of rotation. So axis of rotation for any rotational motion, if you rotate it like this, then this is axis of rotation. But if we rotate it like this way, then this is axis of rotation. What is the speciality of axis of rotation? All the points of axis of rotation do not move. They are all stationary. That is the condition. Right? So, now, where is the axis of rotation? That is along the diagonal. Because all these points are not moving, so we should be able to study in rotational motion, we should be able to mark, to understand where is the axis of rotation. Now, this is a point, this is a body, a system of particles. I want you to rotate it about x-axis. Okay, everybody think how it will appear rotating about x-axis and see whether you have thought the same thing. This is rotation about x-axis. Rotation about y-axis. This is rotation about y-axis. Rotation about z-axis. This. Where is the axis now? No, this is the axis. You see, it is rotating like this. And this is about z-axis. So whenever a question or a situation which is using the words that a particular body is moving or it is rotating about a particular axis, immediately in our mind that picture should be clear. that how it is rotating, what is the meaning of this word. So we should be able to make a picture when we say that I am rotating my mobile about its diagonal. You can make out how it is rotating? Yes, about the diagonal. So this is the diagonal and we will rotate it like this. This is rotating about diagonal. If I say there is a circular disc which is rotating about its tangent. You can make out this is the circle, this is the tangent, and this whole thing will move like this. Then what are the words used? Yes. It is rotating about tangent. Again, it is rotating about a line which is perpendicular to its plane and on the circumference. On the circumference but perpendicular to its plane. So this will go like this. And now it will rotate just like this. Suppose this is a circle, this is the line on the circumference. So it will rotate like this. Understand? So with the words, you should be able to draw the picture in your mind. Then you will be able to solve the numericals of rotational motion. Right? So this is axis. Now, rotational motion. We come to the first topic of the rotational motion. You have understood what is rotational motion. All the points are moving in circles about the axis. There is one thing which is known as, in a plane, natural axis. If this is a plane, from the center I draw a perpendicular. This is supposed to be natural axis of rotation of this. So sometimes when the word is used natural axis, this is meaning of the natural axis. For a cylinder, if this is a cylinder, what is the natural axis of rotation? This axis, which is passing through it, coming out here. That is the natural axis, and cylinder will rotate like this. This axis, how you will give a name to it? What is the name of that axis? Passing through midpoint, perpendicular to its natural axis, or perpendicular to its length. Is that clear? Okay. So this way, you should be able to translate axis writing in the words, and if it is written in the words, you should be able to make the picture of it. Right. Now, yes, we come to the next thing, that is center of mass. We start chapter with that. What is the meaning of center of mass? There are so many methods to understand the center of mass and its utility. In a circular motion, center of mass is very, very important thing. That is, you have learnt many definitions. All the mass is supposed to be located at one point, and that point is known as center of mass. Okay, what does that mean? You don't know. So, there are so many other things, other properties, that if we take moment of all the particles about a single point, and the sum of those moments is 0, then that single point origin is known as center of mass. That is one property of it. But have you considered that what is so important about the center of mass? Can you say? I tell you. What is so important about it? I have not many things to break here. I wanted to. Anyway, suppose I take this and I throw it in the air, rotating. This is x-axis. This is rotation about x-axis. So I throw it and it rotates like this. There is the axis. Now I do it like this way. And I throw it like this. It will rotate about this axis. This way. Okay. Now this is the axis, and I throw it like this. Any way I throw it for any type of rotation, you know, there is one point which never rotates. That is center of mass. When I am rotating it like this in the air, then This is the line of rotation. There is a point here. If I rotate it like this is the axis. And all these points are not moving, there is a point at the center. If I rotate like this is the point which is not moving. So for any rotation of a system of particles of a body, there is a single point which is not rotating, that is known as center of mass. But a condition, it should be a natural rotation, free rotation. You see, I have told you that this point is not moving. You say, how it is not moving? See, it is moving. This is a rotation and it is moving. But the thing is, I have hold it. If I don't hold it and leave it free, then that point is not moving. So, center of mass is that point which is not rotating when there is a free rotation. And this is also very important when we study in class 12 oscillations. Oscillation of charges which generate electromagnetic waves. You have gone through that circuit? LC circuit, LC parallel circuit? Okay. So, free oscillations. Free means there is no external force. So if there is no external force, everything rotates about a single particle and there is a fixed frequency that we use in electricity, of course. So, center of mass, once again. Center of mass is a point that if we apply force on all members of that body, there will be certain effect on that body. There is a point, there is a body containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 particles. Okay, I apply force on this, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, and in effect of all these forces, total force, say 10 Newton. 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 1 here, 2 here, like that. I apply the force and this body goes like this. I created this effect with the force of 10 Newton which was applied at different points. Now, all this 10 Newton I apply with one finger only. I applied here, body goes like this. I applied here, body goes like this. I keep on searching, I find one point. There when I apply this 10 Newton only at one point, it will have the same motion. That point is center of mass. So, center of mass is such a point on which if we apply the force, it will have the same effect. What effect is received when we apply force individually on all the points? This is definition of center of mass, or this is property of the center of mass. Right? So this is one way of finding, this is one way of center of mass. Now, two things we convert this definition to. One is practical, one is mathematical. Practical you have just seen. Throw anything without a force, it will rotate about. Yes, center of mass. Okay, hang something. If this is a laminate we have and I want to find out center of mass, then what I will do, put a nail here and allow it to rotate. It will stop in a particular shape and I will draw a vertical line because vertical represents force what? Mg. Then I put a hole here and then again hang it. Now I hang it and it goes like this. Draw this line. This was the earlier line. This is Mg. Earlier this was Mg. Line 1. This is line 2. Both the lines intersect at this point. So this was acting at this point. Now this force Mg is also acting at this point. If I rotate it and make a hole here, then it will stop like this. And this is the line number 3. These were the earlier lines. 1, 2. This is nail and force Mg is here. Whenever we apply external force Mg, you find all this is rotating. But what is not rotating? This particular point. This point. So if I put a nail here, the force and the nail, they come in this line. Force and the nail come in this line. Force and the nail come in this line. That point is always there. Because if we want to apply force at one point, so that effect is same. That point is center of mass. That point is always here. So whenever you are asked to find the center of mass of a laminate, practically hang it from 2 points like this. Draw a line here, vertical. Why vertical? Because mg acts vertical. Now put it here, this way. Draw a line here. That will also pass through center of mass, because gravity is attracting all the particles, each and every molecule. But what we have defined, it will have the same effect as if the complete force is acting at one point. So we assume that the direction of force is here. So that point must be somewhere here. That point must be somewhere here. And this is the common point, that is center of mass. This is practical. Okay, mathematically. Mathematically, we find one effect of motion. What we told in definition, if we apply forces at different points, the effect will be same as if we apply force at a center of mass, a single point. So I want to see one effect, and that effect is known as moment. What is a moment? All of us have seen balance. When we are buying vegetable, a balance is used, and in that balance, this is the long balance, there is one weight here, one mass here, one mass here, and it will rotate like this. If this is larger, it will rotate like this, and if this is larger, it will rotate in this way. That you all know. That is lever. And what is the formula for the balance? Formula for the balance we have learned. Yes. You all know that. M1R1 is equal to M2R. One is making a motion which is clockwise, and one is making which is anti-clockwise. Okay, in circular motion, we have studied that this rotation, one is positive and one is negative. Which is positive, which is negative?
Anti-clockwise positive.
Anti-clock is positive and clockwise it is negative. That is according to vector rules. Okay. So if you add the two, the sum will be 0. So at this point, now this is balanced when I have kept it on the ground. Now I put a thread here, apply a force and lift it from the ground. It remains horizontal. If I put it on the ground, both the pans are on the ground. It is horizontal. When I lift it, again I find this is horizontal. Now it is in the air. Any change in this? No change. If it is not a change, that means I have applied my force, yes, having the same effect. See again, this is M1, this is M2. I apply two forces. One here, and I lift the two in such a way that this rod remain horizontal. How many forces I am applying? Two. Now I leave it and I hold it from here and apply a single force. Again it remain what? Horizontal. Same effect. So I will say this point is what? Okay. I choose other point. I choose this point. Now here, when I apply two forces with the two hands, keep the rod horizontal. Leave it, apply single force, combined force at one point here. And I find that this rod goes like this. This position has changed. This effect has changed, not same effect. So I will declare this is not center of mass. It was horizontal. When I use this point, it remained horizontal. Effect is same. Therefore, this point is center of mass. So center of mass is such a point where we apply the force and the effect is same as if the forces were applied separately. This is the definition of center of mass. How to find it? Here is the method how to find it. And that method says that M1 R1, M2 R2 both are equal in magnitude. So such equation gives us location of this particle. Now I come to mathematics of this. Mathematics says if there is a body if there is a system of so many particles which have got mass M1, M2, M3, M4 and like that, and there is a center of mass of this somewhere. Now we understand the definition of center of mass. There has to be some point where the effect will be. Say, let us say that point is somewhere here. So actually how many points are there? 4. This is, we draw any point arbitrary as origin. From this point we draw the lines like this, M1, M2, M3, M4. This is R4 vector, R3 vector, R2, and these are all position vectors for all the masses. In the physics, there is a quantity, mass multiplied by radius of rotation. If this point is rotating, then this mass multiplied by this radius of rotation, that physical quantity is known as moment. What is that known as? Moment. Moment. What is the total moment of all the masses around this point? That is plus this is the total moment of all the masses. Now I say all the masses are placed at one point so that effect is same. What is the effect? Moment. What is the effect we are looking for? Moment. We declare that we are calculating moment. Now if all the mass is placed at such a point that if I draw this line and this is position vector capital R, and how much is this mass? M, and this M is equal to yes. So the sum of all the forces M1, M2, M3, M4, if it is placed at a single point, this has dot position vector R, then what is moment of this? Moment of this is M R. Now these two are different. Maybe this is more, this is less. So what do? I search for another R which is slightly less. Again I calculate it, M into R, and calculate. This is coming, this plus this, 100. This I calculate, it comes to 90. So I increase R. When I increase it becomes 120. I decrease it. I find it here, here, here. By trial and error, I am able to find one location such that M into R is exactly how much? Same. And this will be same for a single value of R. Not many 1, 2, 3, 4 R's. There will be only one value of R for which this M into R will be equal to 100. I got that R calculated. Okay. If I got that, I got this point. Now these two are equal. Our definition says that if effect of all the single points is equal to effect of the same effect if all the masses are at one point, then that point will be known as center of mass. So this R is distance of what? Center of mass. So this is equal. And now how much is R equal to? M1 R1, M2 R2, M3 R3. This n is what? Mass of all the particles together. This becomes our formula for center of mass. Note it down. This is the formula for center of mass. You know how this formula has come? That understanding is necessary. That total mass into this R is equal to M1 R1, M2 R2, M3 R2. Now this is a very general equation. In this general equation you will find M1 R1, M2 R2 all are vector quantities, different directions. So practically it is not possible for us to add them because there are angles between them. So to make it convenient, we part it, we make the different parts of it, that we will make one root for one direction. That will be this way, that if in x direction there is one particle here, one particle here, one particle here, mass m1, m2, m3. This is x1, this is x2, this is x3. So what will be the total moment? M1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3, and moment of all the masses placed at a single point. What that single point will be? Center of mass. That may be anywhere. Let us say here. And this distance we take as capital X, center of mass. Then what will be the relation? The relation will be center of mass multiplied by total mass is equal to the total moment. So how much will be center of mass? Transfer it here. So our formula for center of mass in x direction, in x coordinate, that is very simple to write. X coordinate of center of mass is equal to m into x for all the particles, sigma, divided by sum of all the masses, sigma. This is the nutshell formula. Now we don't need vector because x is one direction, or this was a vector one here, but practically we can't use it because making sigma of vectors in different directions is very difficult to find out resultant of all. So we use that formula. The same thing goes for y coordinate of center of mass. Yes, this way. Okay. X coordinate, y coordinate and z coordinate will again be same. I will write it here also. This is how we can find out center of mass coordinates for any given body whose masses are located at the coordinates x, y, z. Right? We will practice it in the numerical section. But why do we learn center of mass? The answer is because every system in the universe, when no external force is applied on it, it rotates about center of mass. That is why we need center of mass. Okay, please remember that one thing. And now, there are certain properties of center of mass we should remember. One is that moments around center of mass sum up to 0. Please write it. Properties of center of mass. This is a very important property. This says M1 R1 plus M2 R2 is equal to 0, and that gives us M1 R1. This can be written as sigma MR is equal to 0. This gives a result that M1 R1 is equal to minus M2 R2 in a two-particle system. Two-particle. M1 R1 is equal to M2 R2, where M1 M1 M2 two particles located at a distance of R1 R2 from center of mass. Okay. The other thing, yes, write down conservation of location of center of mass. Conservation of location of center of mass. In a moving body, the trajectory of center of mass never changes unless an external force is applied on it. And this is something which is asked in story form. What is that story form? See here. There is a projectile motion assigned to a bomb. That bomb goes like this. And it falls here. Right? Now what happens that on the way, when we have thrown bomb from here, at this particular point, it has exploded. Here only. It reached here and explode all the way. Now it is converted into 4 pieces. Because of the explosion, a force is there. What will you term that force? Internal or external? That is internal force. Okay? So there is no external force applied on it. But there is a force. Because of that force, one particle jumps like this way. One jumps like this. Other goes this way. In this way we find the particles are going in different paths. Right? Now this path is gone. But just after 1 second we locate all these particles. After 1 second it was here, it was here, it was here. So 3 particles at different locations, we find the center of mass of that system. And when we find the center of mass at this system, we find it is here. Again after 1 second, it is here, this is here, and this has gone here. Again we find center of mass of this, we find it is here. Again after 1 second, it has come here. This has gone this way, and this has gone this way. 1, 2, 3. After 3 seconds, these 3 particles again we find center of mass. It is here. The center of mass has not changed its trajectory. Why? There was no external force. So even if it goes to pieces, the center of mass remains same. That is what you have written. Do you understand this? Okay. So related to this, sometimes questions are asked. This is a very popular concept, but there may be different stories about it. Like I have given a story of this. Other thing is, if there are two particle system, the center of mass has to be somewhere on the line joining the two particles. If this is one particle and this is another particle, then we join this. Center of mass has to be somewhere here on the line. Right? Write it. In a two-particle system, or in any system, the center of mass has to be within the line joining the particles. This is the thumb rule, this is the Kruger rule, and we should all remember it. Based on this, we had a question. We will come to that. Okay. So this is about something you have written, that sigma mr is equal to 0. So this is about center of mass. Now only thing is formulation and solving problems in center of mass. So let us say this is a mass of, say, 2 kg. This is 4 kg. There is a distance here, 12 meter. Find the center of mass. This is the simplest one. How can we find center of mass of this system? For this, please remember, let us say, first fix up origin. From origin, all the distances will be measured. Which formula we are going to use? All this. Sigma mr divided by total m. How much is the total m? 6. Now sigma mr is 1. m1 r1 plus m2 r2. What is this r? Distance of the mass from the origin. And where is the origin? Nowhere. That means origin we have to form. That is known as arbitrary. So origin is arbitrary, we will make it. We can make that origin here, 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 here. Which location is advantageous to making an origin? Answer? Because you have to calculate distances from the origin, make one origin on the mass itself. If we make origin here, then what is the distance of this mass?
0.
What is m1 r1 for this?
0.
Your one calculation is safe. That is the only purpose, to make it here. And it is an address. Address means what? It is a point where we can say in our answer from location of 2 kg. That is the address of origin. So wherever we find the origin, where we should find it? Just on any spot of the mass. So let us say this is origin. Now, where should be the center of mass? Anywhere on the line. So let us say it is here. This is center of mass and this distance is r, center of mass. Pardon?
8.
What 8? Calculation. Yeah, that's right. So how much r you got it? 2 into 0 plus 4 into 12 divided by 6. Got it? This is 8. Now if it is x direction, then we say x is equal to 8. If it is in y direction, y is equal to that. So similarly, we can find out coordinates in 3-dimensional system. There are 3 balls which are kept adjacent to each other. Each ball has got mass m and radius r. What is the center of mass at which point? How will you make it? Okay, this is one. See another thing, another example. There is a lamina, which is L shaped. This is side A, this is A, this is A, this is 2A, this is A, this is 2A. L shaped lamina. Okay. Find out the center of mass of this. In all these cases, first, please remember that center of mass of a regular body is known to us. That is at the center. If it is a circle, it is a center. Sphere at the center. If it is square or a rectangle, then it is at the intersection point of two diagonals. Right? But these shapes are not like that. So what do? We solve such questions. It is a general thing. Please remember the steps. The first step is divide your irregular body into regular bodies. Divide irregular body into regular body. So this body has got 3 regular bodies. This 3 regular squares. Correct? That is first step. Second step, for each regular shape, mark the center of mass. Because now we know, because it is regular. So where is the center of mass? Here. Third, find out a suitable origin. Here, this is center of mass, this is center of mass, this is center of mass. In this case, let us say this one corner is origin. In this case, we take this as origin. You can take it anywhere. That is our option. We take whichever is the most convenient for calculation. All the mass is located at which point? At this point. So our 1 m1 r1 is 0. So we take it here. But here it appears that if we take it here, then xy calculations will be easier. So we take it here. In this case, if this is origin, it is mass located here. Here, mass is located here. M1, M2 and M3. But they are not in one line. So we cannot solve it in one formula. So we always have to find out their different coordinates, x, y and z. Right here, if this is origin, it has x, y, z, 0, 0. For this, x is equal to how much? 1 radius, 2 radius, 2r. Y, height, no height. Depth, no depth. Here, x is equal to how much? R. Height is equal to? This is 2r. This is 1r. Yeah, root 3r and half of that. No, root 3r, correct. Right? Yes. This is 2 square, 4, minus 1, 3, and this is root 3. So its y coordinate is root 3. Z coordinate 0. Now Z coordinate 0, 0, 0. Forget it. Now we have to find center of mass. Apply this formula for x coordinate. We will get x for center of mass. Similarly, we will get y coordinate for center of mass. In this way, we will find it x coordinate and y coordinate of the center of mass. We get the center of mass. Is this clear? This step you can do. Now come here. Please tell me what is xy for this. For this, yes, height, Okay, now m upon 3 mass here, m upon 3 mass here, m upon 3. Please find x coordinate and tell me. X coordinate of center of mass. xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 divided by sum of all the m. You can make it m by 3 or you can make it m and total mass as 3m. That will also do. Result will be same. How much? 5 by 6. Right. Similarly, you can find out y. The y coordinate will also come to be 5 upon 6. This is A, 5 upon 6 will be slightly inside here. This is center at 5 upon 6 is. This is how you calculate. So this is the way you have calculated, and please remember center of mass calculations come like this only in the examination. Not more difficult than this. There are one or two methods, questions which are slightly more difficult, but I have not found it in NEET. If you have found it somewhere, please tell me. We will repeat that, we will do that. What is that? There is a circle, it has got radius r. Here we cut another circle from here. This has got radius r by 2. R4. This is cut from here. Now for the remaining body, this is gone. This is the remaining body. What is the center of mass of this remaining body? This is slightly difficult, but this I have found in JEE, it is there, quite popular, but in NEET so far I have not found. Some students have question papers. Please tell me if they see this question anywhere during last 10 years. If it is there, we will solve it. Otherwise, why to waste your time? No, not all of them. But okay, we will do it in extra time, because this is a very good question and everyone should know this principle, that how to solve such questions. And this question will be done not only for the circle, this will be also done for the sphere. Not only for the center of mass, this is also done for moment of inertia. Moment of inertia of a complete sphere is known to us. If we cut another sphere within the sphere, then for the remaining part, what should be the moment of inertia? Where it should, how much it will be. So these are a bit difficult, and a particular principle has to be applied on it. But we can do it if you have extra time. Okay. Now, this is all about center of mass. Now we go to the other quantities in rotational motion. Which are the other quantities? Please listen everybody. The quantities in any motion, that is rotational motion, are same as the quantities in linear motion. What are the quantities in linear motion you have studied? I name it. In kinematic, U, V, A, S, T. Same thing is for a particle which is moving in a circular motion. How the name will change? Linear displacement, angular displacement. Okay, linear velocity, that we have done. Linear acceleration, angular acceleration, and time is same. Correct. Their conversion is also known to us. Kinematics done. What are the equations that you can also do? The equations will be like this. The displacement theta is equal to final angular velocity square minus initial angular velocity square divided by 2 angular acceleration. It appears different, but it is same. S is equal to v square minus u square upon 2. So you can make kinematic equation for circular or rotational motion. Same. Please note it down. Same way. Should I write all the three? Final angular velocity is equal to initial angular velocity plus u plus at. That is alpha into t. S is equal to ut plus half at. S stands for displacement and angular displacement is theta. Okay, same equations. Now we go to dynamics. This was kinematics. Now laws of motion. The first thing in laws of motion we study is inertia. What is inertia? As per definition, inertia is property of inherent property of a body in linear motion, because of which it is not able to change its position of motion. Okay, now I come to rotational motion. In the rotational motion, the similar property is held by the quantity moment of inertia. Moment of inertia. What is this? Same definition. Moment of inertia of a rotating body is its inherent property, because of which it is not able to change its condition of motion. Let's make the words a bit easier. Inertia is something because of which a body maintains its condition of motion. If it is running, it will keep on running. If it is at rest, it will remain at rest. Convert it into rotational motion. Moment of inertia is a property of the rotating body, because of which it will keep rotating. Right? So that is moment of inertia. How to measure? What is the symbol? Okay. How to measure it? In linear motion, this is measured by the mass of the body. Okay. In rotational motion, it is measured by mass multiplied by square of the radius of rotation. Mass multiplied by square of the radius of rotation. This particle here, and there is a radius of rotation r. So mr square is its moment of inertia, and we call it by I. I is equal to mr square. This is calculation, not the definition. What is definition? It is property of the material, because of which it cannot change its, yes, because of it maintains its condition, it cannot change it. That is moment of inertia. Okay, mr square. This is a single point definition or a body definition? No. This is a single point definition. All the definitions start with a point object. So this definition is of a point object. Okay. Is it a scalar quantity or a vector quantity? So this is a scalar quantity. It has only mr square is only a lump, a sum. Right? Now, if there is a system of particles, the condition is all the particles are moving around the same axis, then it makes a body. What is a body? Body is something, body is a group of many particles all are capable to rotate about a single axis, and the distance between those particles do not change. If it do not change, we use another adjective, we call it rigid body, right? And whenever we say only body, that means it is a rigid body. The distance between the different particles will not change during rotation. Okay, so if it is a body, then there may be another particle that is also rotating like this, because they are member of the same body. There is a third particle somewhere here, and it is also rotating about it, because it is in the same body, and the complete body rotate about one axis. So therefore, every particle will have same angular velocity, right? This is condition of a body. And when such a condition is there, a body is rotating, the radius of all the particles may be different from the point of rotation. If here is the axis, this is at a radius of r1, this is at a radius of r2, and similarly this is at a radius of r3, something like that. Then how to find the total moment of inertia? Make the total of all masses, make the total of all radius, add it. No? Okay, you did not like it. Okay, don't do that. So that is a wrong method. That is why I am telling you there can be many methods one can think, and students do that. That if there are different masses, different radius, add up all the masses, add up all the radius. No, you don't have to do that. For each and every point, you have to find out single moment of inertia, different moment of inertia, individual moment of inertia for each point, and then you will add up moment of inertia of all the points. So when it comes to plus, you cannot plus only mass, you cannot plus only r. What you can plus? Total mr square individually. Do it separately, and then only you are allowed to make the sum. So moment of inertia of the system is I1 plus I2 plus I3, all for single particles. And it's very easy to do. So which operation is to be done first? Plus 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 or mr square, mr square, mr square? Yes, plus. Only this thing you have to remember. That first we must do mr square, then we have to do the addition. Don't do the addition before. So this is moment of inertia of the complete body. Now this moment of inertia, right, is very peculiar property, very common property of it, that it depends upon the distribution of mass. Please write, the moment of inertia depends upon the distribution of mass. This disc is rotating this way. How much is the radius? How much is the mass? This is mass 1 kg. This is radius r. But in both the cases, we test and try moment of inertia. What does moment of inertia do? Answer, it maintains its condition of motion. It cannot change it. So I take a disc, I take a ring and roll it. When I roll it, I find the ring keeps on going while the disc on the halfway flattens down. Which goes on rolling? Ring. It cannot change its condition of motion. It maintains its condition of motion for a longer period. So I declare its moment of inertia is more. larger. But both have got the same radius. Both have got the same mass. Why it is so? Because the distribution of mass is different. For this, every mass, M1, M2, M3, M100, all are to be multiplied with R square and then they are added. In this case, this is at a distance of R, but this is also a particle. 1 kg has 1000 particles, 1 kg has 1000 particles. Here all 1000 are at the circumference. Here, one is here and one is here, this is R. One is here, very small. So this will have mr square, but this will have m, which is smaller. This is smaller too. But here we find all the particles have radius r. So which one is larger? This one is larger, moment of inertia. That is why the distribution matters. Means the distance from the point of rotation matters. More is the distance, more is the moment of inertia. What is the effect of moment of inertia in our daily life? The answer is, it makes our ride smooth. It makes our ride smooth. How it makes our ride smooth? Okay, you can think it, you are riding on a cycle and on the way you get some distraction, this stone comes on the way. The cycle will have to go over it and here. If moment of inertia is less, it will not maintain it. It will go here and stop. If moment of inertia is more, it will maintain its rotation. It will go like this and keep moving. What would you like to stop or keep moving? Right? So that is why when you stop pedaling the cycle keeps on moving. Even if small stones are there, it will go over them because of its moment of inertia. So moment of inertia always makes our ride smooth. So we want things to have more moment of inertia. Okay, it will maintain the motion. Now you have seen many machines. Because this is a relevant question which comes in the exam, it is necessary to mention something known as that wheel. What is that wheel called? On the other side of the engine, where piston is moving, there is a very large wheel. Okay, I will just remember and tell you the name. What happens that when the engine piston is moving, at one stroke it applies the force. The force is generated, and after that it has no energy. But it needs energy. Why it needs energy? Because piston in the cylinder where burning has taken place. This is cylinder in which the piston comes here. Here is the wheel. When there is a burning here with the spark plug and the petrol, there is an expansion, it goes up, the wheel moves. Right? Expansion, wheel moves, it has moved. After that we want another explosion. For that it should come back here again. Not only come back, it should come back, then it should suck the petrol from the petrol tank. Then it should compress it, and then there will be burning. Those are the 4 strokes in our 4-stroke engine. But where is the energy with this? No energy. Once there is an expansion, there is energy. There is a force, and it will go like this. But why should it come back? And there we use moment of inertia property. When it goes up, we attach it with a free wheel, a large wheel. It moves that wheel. Once it has gone up, after that there is no energy here, but it is attached with the wheel. The wheel which is moving refuses to stop. Due to which property? Moment. And it keeps on moving. Because it is moving, it goes up and then it comes down. It comes down. So whatever is the burning smoke here, that is pushed out. Again it keeps moving. It goes up, so it sucks petrol. Again it keeps moving, it again compresses that petrol, and again there is a spark. Again it gets energy, this is again speeded up. You see how important is moment of inertia. If this freewheel is not there, then it will stop after one blast, it will not come back. We cannot run our engine. So it is so important. And without this, we cannot make engines. So every engine has this wheel over there. Right? This is one example of moment of inertia. The same thing we are doing in all other things. For the squeezing machines, which we are rotating, for the cycles, for the cars, everywhere. We keep this property of moment of inertia. Okay, so this moment of inertia act in the same way what inertia or mass act in linear motion. Calculation, you have just seen how we calculated. M into r square. Now this m into r square is for a single particle. But the problem is with the other bodies where the particles are at different radius. Like there is a disk. This is my axis of rotation. I change it and move disk like this. Now what happens? This particle is making a rotation this way. This particle this way. This particle this way. Everyone has got different radius. What should be moment of inertia of this? This is one thing. Sphere. When we rotate a sphere, this radius is less, this radius is more. So it cannot be a plane mr square. So the formula for moment of inertia changes from shape to shape. We are doing the calculation with help of integration, integral calculus, that how things are changed, how changing, how they are function of a different, and we find a result, and that result we remember. For your NEET examination, none of this derivation is asked. I think even in board examination, now it has been deleted. Derivation is deleted. But you must remember the results. Like, what is the moment of inertia of a spherical body? That is solid sphere and a sphere which is only spherical shell. You remember? 2 upon 5 for solid, and for spherical shell 2 upon 3 mr square. Right? So in this way there is a table, and it is a must that you remember all of them. What is the moment inertia of a ring? That is the most natural, mr square, because every particle is at a distance of r, provided what is the axis? This is the axis. But if I change the axis this way, then the radius will change, even for the ring. So moment of inertia will change. Right. The most popular thing and slightly difficult thing in moment of inertia application is finding out the moment of inertia of different shapes, applying the two theorems. What are those theorems? Parallel axis and perpendicular axis. So we will briefly write those theorems only. You have the time? Okay. Perpendicular axis theorem. See, in any body or in a plane body, we can rotate it about many axes. Let us choose 3 axes which are normal to each other, x, y, z, like this. Out of this, the moment of inertia about one axis, that is M is equal to sum of two moment of inertia about the other axis. How it is possible? It is the same body. The thing is, all these three axes are perpendicular to each other, and the magic in it is the choice of axis. And that is the point where most of the students fail to detect. You see, yes, this is a body here. I am rotating it like this. Where is the axis? This is the axis. Is it within the body? Within the plane of the body? Perpendicular to it, this. Hold it here and rotate it this way. Right? I call it x-axis. This I call y-axis. This is also in the plane. This is also in the plane. Now, I take a third axis, that is this. Is it in the plane? No. This is natural axis. And I rotate it this way. This is z-axis. And it is always z-axis. Please remember. Then only it will apply. So, which moment of inertia is heaviest, largest? About z-axis or about its natural axis? This one. Right? And this is, how much is this? Sum of this moment of inertia and sum of this moment of inertia. Right? So please remember, the choice of x, y, z is not any x, y, z. Z has to be normal, perpendicular or natural moment of inertia. Right? So this is the one. With help of this, there are so many things we are doing, but the most easier and the most popular thing is in the regular bodies like disc and ring. And there is this axis. What we know about a ring is the moment of inertia about z axis. How much is that? mr square. We want to find out moment of inertia about this axis. Okay. So, first we declare that moment of inertia about this axis, we will call it Iy. This moment of inertia about this axis, we will call it Ix, which is rotating like this. And what we declare, because of the symmetry of this shape, Ix must be equal to I. Okay? Ix is equal to I. Now, according to our theorem, this Iz is equal to how much? Mr square. Mr square is equal to Ix plus? Yes. Ix plus Iy. I write that Ix because they are equal. Got it. So, what is moment of inertia about this axis? Half mr square. And about this axis? Half mr square. So, this we got with the help of which theorem? Perpendicular axis theorem. So, this we are going to use at many places. Right? Examples will come. We will do that. Other theorem is parallel axis theorem. In parallel axis theorem, the axis about which we want to find out moment of inertia has to be a parallel axis, parallel to the axis passing through center of mass. Parallel to the axis passing through center of mass. Okay, like we have a rod here. This is center of mass. Put an axis here. This is the axis passing through center of mass. I want to rotate it from one end here, and I want to rotate the complete rod, right? Like this, and I want to rotate it this way. At one end, this is the rotation. Here is the center of mass. So this is my axis. Parallel to this, I draw an axis from center of mass, and I know what is the moment of inertia for an axis passing through center of mass by another method, by that integration method, by calculus. Okay. So this axis parallel to this, number one condition, it must be having certain distance. Let us say that distance is equal to A. Right. So when we rotate this body this way, it has a moment of inertia natural. How much is that moment of inertia? That is moment of inertia which is for a regular shape about center of mass. That is there. Plus because now forget it here. This is center of mass. Now listen it carefully. Complete mass of this rod is located at this point. And in this my new axis, this point is rotated. So it will have a moment of inertia. How much? Its mass is m, its distance is a. How much is this? When this rotates, you see this thing. This is rotation done. One rotation. You see this corner is here, tip is here, and now tip is here, now tip is here. One rotation is done. Now you see I am rotating here. What is the direction of the tip? Here. Now in this direction. Now again in this direction. So it has done a rotation. Because it has done a rotation, it has a moment of inertia. How much? I see. Addition to that, this mass at the center, it has moved about this axis, new axis, new axis. It will also have inertia. How much? M into A square. So we find the total inertia is sum of the two. This is moment of inertia about ZZ. This I will call ZZ. So moment of inertia about any axis ZZ is sum of two inertias. One is natural inertia because it has to rotate, and other is depending upon this. If this comes here, then A is 0. It is only IC. Understand? So this is parallel axis theorem. Very simple. More you go here, this center of mass will make one lump of the mass which is rotating around it. That will give you this additional quantity. So this is parallel axis theorem. With help of this, you can always find out moment of inertia, and it's a very common practice having questions on this. Write a question. Find out moment of inertia of a rod. Find out moment of inertia of a rod of length L about axis at one end, about axis at one end, normal to its length, normal to its length. Same thing. What you are supposed to remember here in advance is what is the value of this? ICM for a rod. Anyone remembers? ml square upon 12. Right. Very right. L is the total length, m is the mass of the rod, and for this axis it is ml square upon 12. That is for the axis passing through center of mass. Okay. Yes, anybody? ml square divided by 3. I think it is correct. Okay, how it has come? ICN is ml square upon 12 plus m, and this distance is L by 2, make a square of it. That is the answer. That's all. Right? So this is, you can find out by using it. Okay, but this is not the end of the story. In our examination, competitive examination, what they will ask, find out the moment of inertia of a disk which is rotating about an axis at the circumference and normal to it. That means this thing what I told you, this is a disk, here is the axis and it is rotating like this. Please see here, they say the natural formula for moment of inertia of a disk is half mr square. How much? Half mr square. That is moment of inertia about this. Okay, now they change the question. They say find out moment of inertia of a disk which is rotating about its tangent. Rotating about tangent. Where is the tangent? Here is the tangent. And it rotates like this. Can you apply parallel axis theorem? What do you know? This half mr square. What they are asking? This. What will you do? Such type of sum has to be done in 2 steps. First, from this you find out this. And what is this? How much angle? Perpendicular. So this will be done by which theorem? Yes. It will become half. That is 1/4 of mr square. Then parallel axis theorem. Now it will rotate like this. So that will be 1/4 mr square plus m into r square. 5/4 mr square. With a little practice you can do it orally. So that is 5/4 mr square is the answer. In that case you have applied both the theorems. So this is the new trend. You may be asked for such situations where you have to apply both the theorems. So don't try to jump up in one step. Maybe you will have to go for 2. So these are the little things about moment of inertia. There are few things more which we will come to know and practice when we are studying angular momentum and torque. So we close this class. In the evening we will be doing torque as well as angular momentum. Thank you.